Marcy sighed. Because your fun sometimes scares them off. We've got work to do, Zeb. Can you just hand out the supplies without the theatrics? If Beth hears about this again, neither of us will be happy. Zeb grumbled but relented. Fine, fine. Don't tell Beth, okay? We'll call it our little secret. Then he turned to me. All right, rookie. Let's get you fitted. What's your size? My size? What do you mean? I asked. Your size is, rookie, he said, pulling a measuring tape from his pocket. Now hold still. This won't hurt a bit, no matter how it looks. Zeb started taking my measurements, and that's when the strangest thing happened. With every place he measured, my appearance shifted. My chest began to change shape, my waist grew slimmer, my hips widened slightly, and even my arms and legs started to look more delicate. By the time he was finished, the only part of me that still looked like my old self was my face and hair. I was startled and a bit unsettled, but Marcy didn't seem alarmed at all. She stood calmly, as if this were completely routine, so I stayed quiet and waited for someone to explain what was happening. Eventually, my clothes slipped off my now different frame, leaving me standing there completely transformed. I looked unmistakably feminine from head to toe, despite the familiar face staring back at me. It was surreal and confusing, and my mind struggled to process what I was seeing. Marcy finally broke the silence. Are you going to explain this, or should I do it again? She asked. Zeb sighed deeply. All right. Listen carefully, recruit. Don't worry about the changes you're seeing. They're temporary, meant only to get you fitted for the uniforms and gear you'll need. Once your training is complete, you'll understand more. For now, just relax. His words didn't exactly make me feel better. How long does temporary mean? I asked nervously. Well, Zeb said, scratching his chin, that depends on a few factors, but I'd say no more than 30 years or so. Give or take. Of course, it could change based on your assignments, but your basic measurements will stay about the same, at least until you finish your work. I think I blacked out after that, because the next thing I knew, Zeb and Marcy were gently trying to wake me. Zeb, Marcy scolded. You always push things too far. One day I hope you're the one going through this. If Beth finds out, there'll be consequences. Now help me get Jerry back on his feet. Grumbling, Zeb complied, and together they helped me stand. Balancing on my now smaller feet felt strange and unsteady, but with their support, I managed. I had a million questions swirling in my head, but I didn't trust myself to speak just yet. I just sat there in shock, trying to make sense of everything. Jerry? Jerry? Marcy called, but it barely registered. Finally, she shouted right next to my ear. Jerry! Snap out of it. I jolted awake, shaking and overwhelmed. Instinctively, I wanted to run, to find a door, any door, and escape. I even tried to break free from them, but they were much stronger than they looked. Eventually, their calm words reached me, and they managed to get me seated in a chair that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. There I sat, changed, confused, and struggling to comprehend the reality of what had just happened. My body told me one story, but my mind refused to believe it. All I could do was stammer incoherently. What? Where? How? But you. It was all too much to take in. Marcy eventually got through to me. Look, Jerry. Don't let this overwhelm you, she said gently. I know this is a lot to take in right now, and I don't blame you for being upset. But try to relax, everything will be explained soon. No one here means you any harm. All of this is necessary so you can begin the work you were chosen for. Just keep that in mind, and it will all make sense. At first, I definitely didn't feel like everything would be okay. But after thinking about it for a few moments, I remembered why I was here and what I had agreed to do. Slowly, I calmed down. Okay, Marcy, I managed to say. I'll try. You know, this whole thing might have been easier if someone had warned me what was coming. This is all new to me, not to mention incredibly strange. Do you have any idea how I feel right now? Actually, Jerry, I do, she replied with a small smile. I've been through this same process myself, and not too long ago. I promise you, it's all necessary, and it will make sense in time. Her words helped. Soon after, they handed me a set of clothes, though uniform might not be the word I'd have used. It included heels, a fitted outfit, and even a pair of pale, feathery wings attached to my back. It felt surreal, but Marcy assured me that appearances were part of the job. From there, we visited several more rooms. In one, specialists adjusted my appearance further, styling my hair, refining my facial features, and adding makeup. When they finally let me look in a mirror, I barely recognized myself. The reflection staring back was elegant and confident, nothing like the person I had been before. The changes didn't stop there. They even adjusted my voice, making it smoother and more natural for the role I would soon step into. It was overwhelming. Every new step left me on the edge of panic, but Marcy stayed by my side, calmly reassuring me that everything was going according to plan. Eventually, we stopped for a meal. I was nervous about being seen, but Marcy explained that everyone in the cafeteria was either going through the same transformation or had already completed it. That put me at ease. I was even more surprised when I was told I could eat anything I wanted without it affecting my new form. I ordered a hearty meal and, for the first time all day, actually enjoyed myself. As I listened to conversations at nearby tables, I realized I wasn't alone. Others were voicing the same confusion and uncertainty I felt, while their mentors offered the same comforting reassurances Marcy had given me. It was strange, but comforting, to know this was part of a larger process. When we finished eating, I asked how much more was left. Just 2 more steps, Marcy said. I decided not to ask for details. After everything I'd experienced, I wasn't sure I wanted to know. The next stop was a small room with nothing but a single chair. Marcy asked me to sit and relax. I tried, though I wasn't sure what to expect. I remember hearing a soft voice. I couldn't make out the words, and then everything faded into a blur. When I stepped out of that room, something was different. Walking in heels suddenly felt completely natural, as if I'd done it all my life. Even more surprising, nothing about my new appearance or voice felt strange anymore. It just felt like me. Our final stop was yet another simple room with nothing but a single chair. I sat down, and once again that soft, guiding voice returned. When I stepped back out, something incredible had happened. I understood everything. I now had complete awareness of the transformation I'd undergone, why it was necessary, what it was meant to teach me, and even how to control it. I discovered that I could shift my appearance back to my original self, or into virtually any human form I could imagine. There was one important condition, though. The form I wore now would remain my primary one. No matter how many times I changed, I would always return to it eventually. Marcy explained the reasoning behind this final piece of the puzzle. "See," she said, smiling gently. "I told you everything would be explained. I couldn't tell you earlier. That's part of the process. This final step is designed to help you truly understand what it's like to feel trapped in a body that doesn't match who you are inside. Without that empathy, you couldn't do the work you've been chosen for." There was still one more stage to go, one last indoctrination, as Marcy called it. "This next part," she explained, "will give you a deep understanding of what it means to experience gender in different ways. You'll learn about the diverse spectrum of identities, from crossdressing to gender transition and everything in between. The goal isn't just knowledge, but empathy. You'll need that if you're going to connect with and guide the people we'll send you to help." And so, once again, I entered a plain, empty room. I don't remember much about what happened inside, just sitting down and listening as the voice spoke again. But when I emerged, my perspective had changed completely. I carried with me a profound understanding of the many different ways people experience gender and the challenges that come with it. It was humbling and heartbreaking to realize how wrong I had been about myself all those years. All the shame, guilt, and fear I'd carried had been unnecessary. The isolation I'd felt wasn't because I was broken, it was because I'd believed the lies society had told me. And the decision I had once made to end my life, that had been the most senseless act of all. But now I had a second chance. I knew I could help people who felt the same pain I once did, people on the edge, ready to give up because they believed they were unworthy. I couldn't promise it would be easy, but I could promise this. I would do everything in my power to guide them toward acceptance, hope, and life. And I would never have to do it alone, because heaven itself would be standing behind me.